Um, Obviously, I mean, a lot of people think that this is at this point in time Hillary Clinton's race to win or to lose, and that Donald Trump is calling this election rigged. Um, Although he's saying that he's winning. So is it rigged? Is he winning? I mean, does anybody care? Is he shooting himself in the foot, or is he the one with the two guns blazing?
Two things to comment on, Steve. First of all, the fact that it's a rigged election. I keep hearing Trump say day after day that can you believe there are 12 million people throughout this country who are dead and still on the rolls? And the other figure he gives you, there's 2 or 3 million people who are registered in two different states. And you know my answer? He's right. He's right. But there's a reason for that. If we pick up and move today to a different state, it's going to take a several year lag time for the registrar in your old state to figure out that you're not there anymore. Usually they update the rolls every 4 years. So you're going to be registered in two different states. If you move again, you're going to be registered in 3 different states. And when you die, the first thing your family doesn't do is they don't run down to the registrar of voters and say, hey, Uncle Johnny died, take him off the rolls. He could stay there for 3 or 4 years. So that's not really, I think Trump's just playing into the overall fears of the fact that it's a rigged system. The press is against me. Everybody's against me. And he throws out the chance there could be voter fraud. Steve, let me tell you what he may do. Trump may hurt himself in this effort. If he keeps screaming voter fraud, then you're going to get a lot of disgruntled voters say, well, the thing is rigged. Trump tells me it's rigged. I believe in Trump. If it's rigged, I'm not going to go bother to vote. It's raining a little bit today, or I got to help get the truck fixed. And so he may, that may have the other effect. The fact that he says my back's against the wall, but you've got to help me and encourage people to vote. When he just screams rig, 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 I think that will cause a lack of interest in some voters to say, what difference does it make? Why should I care to vote? That's one thing to point out. Now, one other thing to mention as far as for Trump, there's been an issue. I want to see how he exploits this. Today and tomorrow are critical days. If there's ever anything Trump can do, I think he's got the meat to do it, and that's this Obamacare information that came out just today. There has been a federal government agency not controlled by the president that says that in some states, your health care rates will go up by 25%. And so if he used that right, say, look, Hillary Clinton's going to keep Obamacare, 25%, that's what's going to happen to you. If that issue is played right, that could help give him a good bump here in the next 2 weeks. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else he can do. But back to the voter fraud. You holler voter fraud, may run off some of your voters, and there's just not that much example of voter fraud in this country, Steve.
Sure. I mean, I certainly agree with that. And to me, as we mentioned before, I think that kind of statement is really bad for democracy. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell people around the world, to follow us and follow our democracy if the guy running for the very top office is blaming his loss on a failure in democracy. I just think that's insulting. But as far as Obamacare, let me just mention this: that you're right. I mean, and I think everybody who has talked about this over the last couple of days, would agree, and that is that if I'm Hillary Clinton, the last thing I want is to hear about a problem with say 25%, 30% of the economy, meaning Affordable Care Act. The problem is that I think that, quite frankly, Hillary Clinton can turn it around. And that is to say, look, no question we do need, I mean, this did not go the way that we all wanted it to go. Supreme Court basically lopped off, even though they made it lawful, they lopped off a good portion of it. The states have, they couldn't beat it initially. The Republican states went and attacked it. And so we need to reform it. We need to go back to the drawing board and see exactly what we can do. But to say that we're going to repeal and to repeal and replace with what? I mean, how do you repeal something? I think you and I talked about this before. How do you repeal something, repeal a law? Once you repeal a law, it's gone. The best you can do is you can set something up in the future to repeal, repeal on a particular date. But, that's not repealing and replacing, and so you have to have all your ducks, you just can't say, and I've heard it before, I'm sure you have also, this is going to be repealed the very first day I take office. No, it's not. And so I think that what Clinton needs to do is to say, look, okay, fine. The reason why we passed health care reform is because we were unhappy with the system. Now, you tell me what you're going to do, to repeal and to replace and to ensure that we have insurance in place. Because once you repeal, it's gone. Those people covered don't have insurance.
Well, I guess the only thing is that in a last rush for election in 2 months rather than 2 weeks to go, to when everything gets scattered in the mishmash of all the rhetoric, screaming 25% increase, that's what Hillary Clinton's going to do. She mirrors Obama. Obama's raising your health rates by 25%. Hillary Clinton will do the same thing. She's just going to completely bankrupt you. And that message handled properly can be a pretty good dagger, quite frankly. Well, I don't think it's enough to maybe actually be a deciding factor, but it's certainly going to tighten the race up a little bit more, quite frankly, in a number of key states.
Well, and it's going to tighten up anyway, but I guess what I'm saying is that, I think that Donald Trump's and Hillary, for that matter, I think both of their credibility is like below zero. And for Donald Trump to say, we're going to replace it with something big. We're going to replace it with, look, they're beginning to take Trump's name off his buildings. I mean, what? What are you going to replace instead? Are you going to do away with pre-existing conditions? If so, how are you going to do that? How are you going to ensure people that they're going to still have coverage? So I understand what you're saying. It's not the best situation for Hillary Clinton at all. But, just saying, well, we're going to open up the marketplace. People aren't going to believe Hillary, and they're not going to believe Donald Trump. And just saying we're going to have something bigger and better means nothing. If you can't come up with a replacement and explain to people what the replacement is in the 2 weeks that you got, okay, then people are going to say, okay, well, at least I know what I have. And I like it, and we're going to fix it. And Social Security had to be fixed, and Medicare had to be fixed, and this will be another fix. But, to just take it off the table with what? I don't know. So that would be my argument, at least.
Well, I think you make a good sounding reasonable argument. All I'm saying is that people aren't reasonable in the final 2 weeks of the campaign. And if I can handle a candidate, if I have my choice of saying one candidate I want to handle, well, we're going to fix it, we're going to adjust it, and they lied to me before. And now look what Trump's saying. No, what the federal government's saying, 25% increase. That's a huge jump. And so I'd hate to have to deal with that. And I think the Clinton people are saying, how do we handle this issue right now? It's one issue I think could tighten the race up. That's the only point I'm making.
Sure. I totally agree. And like I said, I certainly have always felt that this was an election that Donald Trump could win. I said that even before. I said that a couple of days ago, before the Obamacare issue came up, and I still feel that way. It's I can't believe we have two candidates who nobody seems to like, and so that's the way it's going to be for the next 2 weeks. Okay, Jim, I know you got to run, and thank you for joining us for our Facebook Live. I appreciate it.